How to become a person of increase. That's what we're going to talk about. How to become a person of increase. Be a person who brings something to the table everywhere you go, whether it is your beauty, which is currency, your presence, your status, your glamour, your ideas, your solutions, your words. All of that is something that people desire. Become somebody that is always a add to the situation. Okay, so let's dive into how you become a person of increase and how that will always pay you dividends. All right, so today we're diving into another topic of creating abundance, right? We're still in the series of creating abundance, and I want to dive a little deeper with you. And today I want to start with a little story. So, when Jesus said, I came that you might have life and you might have it abundantly, he was a practitioner of the things that we are practicing. Okay. I always say, I don't want to put Jesus on a pedestal. That's why we're here. I'm a goddess. You are a god, a goddess too. We want to understand that we all have access to become a person of increase, right? And it's about aligning with the laws of the universe, aligning with the laws of nature, aligning with the laws of abundance, right? So he was a high practitioner of a way of being and thinking in a way that opens yourself up to being a channel of good, right? To be a conduit of goodness in this world, right? That is available to all of us. What we are working with is a recognition of this as the ultimate truth. Okay, abundance is spirit and it demonstrates in the material realm. That's why when you bring a lot to the table, you want to be compensated for it in money, right? In money, in favors, in presence, in deals, in assets, in land, in real estate, in crypto, in gold, in diamonds. All of that is just a equal compensation to the value that you bring. Okay, so we have infinite access to spirit, but we have resistors inside of us. If you're still hustling and grinding and slaving away, that is because you haven't understood that you are valuable. And the thing is, I don't want to bypass the realities, right? Because I've been through that process myself for the past 10 years. And it's really about understanding first the system that we live in and the system that has indoctrinated us, the system that has tried to keep us oppressed, which is patriarchy, racism, and capitalism, right? Which indicates that a man is better, that being white is better, and that being born with money is the ultimate wealth, which is not true, right? Because wealth or abundance is more than just money. It is abundance of spirit, mind, emotion, physicality, and materiality. Okay, so very important. We have infinite access to spirit, right? But you need to learn how to channel it. And once we begin to clear our thinking and open ourselves up, what is natural for us is to live in a free flowing stream of abundance, right? You are the channel. As I always like to say, you as a woman, you are the source. You are the source. You are the channel, like you are the well, right? And people are constantly trying to sell you water, right? That is word magic. That is magic. That is what people try to do. They want to confuse you. Yeah, they want to tell you that you're nothing so that you buy something that tells you that that's who you are. But you only want to buy things that complement your true nature, not from lack, not from limitation, but from empowerment. Okay. So, another story, the woman with the oil. a Bible parable. Yeah, this is the widow with a lot of debt. Yeah, the man that she owed money to said that he's going to take her sons and enslave them if she didn't pay. And the only thing that she had to sell was a little bit of oil. And the man told her to get all the containers she could find to pour the oil into those. And when she started to pour the oil just kept coming, and there was enough to repay her debt. Maybe you know the story. The story is a little longer. The woman first was very afraid that she didn't have enough. She didn't have what it takes in order to do what she needed to do. But then she just started to do it. And then there was more and more and more and more coming. And then surprisingly, she had more than enough to pay for her sons. And that is about you, right? That is about you. That is about me. It's a key principle that demonstrates the truth, right? And the truth is that there is always abundance. Abundance is ever present. Gathering containers was an act of faith. And that is what you can do too. Gather, right? Gather the things that you need to fill your abundance into, right? Create a program. Okay, create a program, create something that you can sell to others. And the containers are receptacles, right? They are like this um cup, right? And the receiving units that she was clearly sending a message to the universe of her availability to receive in expectation. So she said, "Okay, I have this cup, and I expect this cup to be filled. So I'm going to take another glass. Yeah, that is a little dirty uh, from my supplements. I'm going to take this glass, and I expect that God will provide me, the universe, spirit, your own life force energy is going to provide me with enough information, with enough substance to fill it up. And then I'm going to take another thing and another thing, and I am going to take all of the cups, the receptacles that I have, because I believe they're going to be filled." Okay, so that is exactly the message that we want to send as well. If you want to create your own business, if you want to create a higher position in leadership, if you want to create more abundance in your life, maybe more time, maybe more quality of people, right? You want to get in alignment with expecting that you actually have what it takes to do it, right? Sending a clear message to the universe that you were available to receive more. According to your belief, self belief, that you believe that you can do it. You believe that you belong at the top. You believe that you belong to create success. You are the chosen one, right? You believe that you're the chosen one. You believe that you can do it. You believe and expect that you will have more than enough to give, to create. Yeah, and that creates a field of magnetism, and you will receive more and more. So you can actually give more and more. You attract or demonstrate that which is in harmony with the field of magnetism. You are magnetic. You are magnetic. And once you step into that self belief that you will receive everything at the right time, whenever it is that you need it, to pay that, to pay for that, to do that, to do that, and move in faith every day, you become a magnet. So all of the things, the people, the opportunities, the money, the resources will come to you. Yeah, this is just like a remote control for a television. Yeah, to change the channel, you want to change the frequency, right? In order to change your life experience, you want to change your own frequency, right? Whether it is comedy or drama, they're all right. They're all there. You just need to tune into what you want. If you are on the frequency of struggle, if you just pay attention to struggle all the time, there will be more struggle that is going to show up in your reality. Yeah. And also that, to make it a little bit more practical, because there's struggle all the time. Most people are in struggle mode, right? But if you focus on yourself, if you focus on peace, if you focus on creating abundance, if you focus on creating yourself, the version of you that is actually in alignment with abundance, with class, with superiority. Yeah, with being superior to your own lower nature, to your own struggle, to a lack frequency, to a scarcity mentality, you will rise to the top. So tune into the frequency within yourself where there is abundance, right? Because abundance is always present. And I want to take um, this again because I think that this is so good. This is so good. I know it looks like it's very basic, but it's that is what it is, right? I think there is a saying that if you cannot explain something very basic, then you can't really explain it. Then you don't know what you're talking about, right? So here again, I want to tell my own story. So the thing about me is I come from a rather privileged background. I'm the child of a German mother and a Ghanaian father. I was born in Germany, but then when I was 3, I went to Ghana and I lived there until I was almost 6. And I lived there as a light skinned girl, which comes with a lot of privileges when you are in a dominantly Black culture. And I also had, of course, my mother's money. So I went to a private school. So I went to a private school. I had a feeling of, yeah, being in the upper class because I was. Then with that kind of programming, I came back to Germany. I always had big confidence. I always had big confidence. Even coming back to Germany, I never felt lesser than. I always looked at my mother. My mother, again, is a white woman, and she was always a very socially elegant woman. She knows how to sell herself. My mom always worked her whole life. She was always a very happy woman, very smiling, very business oriented, to be honest. Like she was a very good saleswoman, very pleasant to be around. People greeted her on the street. She was always very communicative with everyone in the supermarket, on the street. But then at home, she was very private. Like she didn't have a lot of friends. She had her man, but she was very social, right? Very, very good at social settings. So this is who I grew up around looking at. So I learned how to navigate myself through this society like a white woman. And I'm going to share that very openly because for a long time I felt a little ashamed of that, especially because I am a brown woman and I do have a lot of Black and brown associates. So, but what I want to say here is that for me, in order to step into my privilege, I had to let go of shaming myself for having privilege. I have a lot of privileges. My mom helped, like, I had everything I wanted, always, to be honest. Like, I always had. Um, Brand clothes. I always got the newest technology in terms of phones. We traveled. My mom invested in my education and in tutorship and mentorship. And even when I was younger, to become a life coach, she always supported me verbally, practically. My mom always supported me. So that is my background. And I know that I have this privilege, and I am here to share with you how you can build power and privilege for yourself because there are rules to it, there are codes to it, there is a mindset to it, there are behaviors to it, there are certain ways of conduct to it, right? So, for me to step into the role that I'm in now as a strategist for women in corporate and in business was for me to go through that myself, right? And I always say this is being at the bottom of the pyramid. This first pyramid is the pyramid that we live in society, is also according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It is the survival of the fittest. Most people are at the bottom. And also this here, the inverted triangle, all right, the upside down triangle. This is more of the energy frequency because at the bottom, most people are in a low frequency. People are in shame. They are in shame and fear and doubt, in scarcity. There's not enough. There's no love. There's only competition. That is actually the real poverty, right? We're speaking about abundance. Abundance is not only money, abundance is love, abundance is a home, abundance is a family that loves you, abundance is a relationship, abundance is recreation, it's holidays, it's time to think, it's books, it's learning, it's education. That is all abundance. It's not only money, right? So most people at the bottom who grew up at the bottom, many times, even if they have money, they still depict that kind of lifestyle. I feel like this is what we see, especially with Black people in celebrity status. Most people are still very ratchet. That's my personal opinion, right? Because they never grow out of the lack mindset, right? So they stay in a very traumatized, constricted way of being, which is scarcity mindset. In order to grow into an abundance mindset, you have to open up, which is healing. Because what happens in healing? Healing is to open up the trauma, is to open up this constriction. Literally, trauma is a constriction. Trauma is narrow, right? If we think about the nervous system, everybody's always speaking about um, the nervous system work, right? Nervous system is capacity, is being able to be seen, to be heard, to be witnessed, and to be able to hold that without tightening, to be able to hold that without shrinking, right? You want to be seen in your fullness without shrinking. That is literally healing, right? Because if people are at the bottom, most of the time they have been told, shut up, don't talk, don't be seen, you're not worthy, you pretend that you are not existing. And then healing into fame or being seen and visible is also about being seen and visible in the real world, right? It's about opening yourself up and daring to be all that you are. That is growing into abundance. Okay, that is being like, here I am, right? Not performative, but just daring to show up in your own energy. So I hope that makes sense, right? People at the bottom who are in low income jobs, who have toxic relationships with men and with money and with friends, are people who are traumatized because they don't feel that they dare to deserve expansion, feeling good, feeling well, feeling open. And the more open you are, the more you see. And the more you see, the more self aware you are, and the more able you are to see other people in their full spectrum, meaning the good and the bad, the whole spectrum of people. So that is true abundance, is to see everything, is to be able to see poverty and misery and suffering, but also see that there is an opposite side of the scale where there are people that are healthy, thriving, rich. Okay, that is opening up, opening up. That is true healing. Okay, so yeah, I think that's very important to share. So the next thing is that we want to really activate the law of circulation, because again, we are in in relationship with society, with people, with life, right? That's why it's important to give, but also to create channels to receive, and to not make it randomly, but to make it systematically, right? If you want to live in an upward spiral of momentum, you want to grow and you want to be fresh and always new, right? In your spiritual growth, in your becoming, yeah, you want to make an agreement to live and play full out. You want to live on the edge, right? You want to live on the edge. You want to overcome your fears daily. You want to try out new things. You want to expand yourself and not stay in your comfort zone, right? That is about expansion. Experiences, just going to another gym, just going to a new class, learning something new. Always be fresh. Always stay in your beginner's mind and daring to grow in that. That is spiritual evolution, that is growth, right? And it is this opportunity to play on a bigger field of abundance. As I like to say, is that you make money by playing with the big dogs. You make money by always being in rooms where you are new, right? You dare to be a newbie, a newcomer, right? You don't have to pretend that you know it all. But one thing, when you have mastered something, you outgrow the room and you step into a new room, right? You have to be willing to create the conditions in which that bigger field can present itself, right? And one way to do that is, as I said, to go into new rooms, but it's also about circulating more money. If you want to feel rich, the first thing you do in order to feel rich is not to have the money, but is actually to tithe the money. That is also a spiritual practice that all religions do, or all rich people do, is tithing. Tithing is one way that you can feel like you are a big dog, like you feel like you are rich. You give away a percentage of your money, of your income, and you give it away to causes that you care about. Or I also like to say that you give it to your mother. Because your mother is definitely paying back, right? You want to give it to something that gave you something, right? Or that made you who you are, or that is still contributing to a good life. So you want to give it to causes that you believe in. I believe in women's empowerment. So I like to give money to my mother, or I like to invite her. I like to buy her things, right? Or I like to support other women in their businesses. I like to buy other women's programs. Yeah, be mentored by women, be coached by women, to learn from women in all areas of life, to buy women's books. That is how I like to also tithe, yeah, or to give to nature, to give to animals, give to the forest life, everything that is about Mother Nature. This is what I like to give back to. So you have to be willing to create the condition in which you feel that you are abundant, right? Tithing puts you in harmony with the frequency of abundance. You give and you will find out that you will receive more because you feel like you're already rich. Yeah, you can start with a small percentage just by giving 10% or 5% or 2%. This is really where you start seeing a real flow. Like when you receive 5,000 euros or dollars or pounds, you give away 500 euros to, as I said, I give it to my mother or another woman, or I support a woman's business, or I support a cause that help children and women, or the nature, or animals. So if you give 10%, you commit to give progressively more and more, right? This is the kickstart, the circulation of good. If you want to receive good, you have the power to be proactive. That means you started. You started by giving, right? When you get to 10%, this is really where you are in a jet stream of becoming. You hit the center of the current, and this is going to carry you, right? To give to an organization, as I said, that feeds you spiritually, or that teaches others to be free. As I said, for me, it's women's empowerment, other women who teach women to focus on themselves, other women who are educating women about patriarchy, about hierarchy thinking, about capitalism. I like to give to those women, right? Liberating people's minds from oppression, liberating people's minds from the narrative of that you're not enough. No, you are enough. You just need to learn how to feel and act in alignment with that, right? To think and act in alignment with abundance, right? How you can think for yourself. You need to learn how to think for yourself, teaching people how to live a life of freedom, right? Authority and difference making. That's also what I do. And if you like what I do, you can definitely donate. You can become part of my membership, become part of my tribe, buy my books, buy my programs, buy my mentorship. That's what you can do in order to also empower yourself. It's a give and take, it's an economy, it's a flow, it's a circulation. The more you do it, the more will come back to you when you position yourself right. Very important that you position yourself right. Yeah? Okay, so very, 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 very important. So be a tither, right? Be a tither, be a giver. Write down some ways in which you can give. And it's very important that you not only give, and I'm going to say that very straight, especially as a woman of color, especially as a woman. As I said, I truly believe in you supporting other women of color, you supporting other women, you supporting causes that empower women, that empower nature, that empowers animals, that empowers the truth and not the hierarchy thinking. Because so many women are programmed to give their money to everybody that is taking away your power, which are most of the time men, and also man-made systems of everything, beauty standards, right? You think you have to look a certain way in order to fit into the beauty standard. You think you have to um, do plastic surgery, right? I don't condemn these things. I just want to create some awareness around that, right? Or you give away your money to other men in personal development as a mentor, you because you believe a man will save you. No man will save you. God is not a man. God is not a white man who sits on top of the throne. I want you to understand that you are the power. As I like to say, women are the source. Women are the source of power. Women are abundance. Women are love. Yeah. So if you want to learn how you can free yourself and position yourself for power, privilege, and progress, work with me, work with somebody like me. Yeah. Work with somebody that can actually teach you how to position yourself for power, privilege, and progress in this life as a woman, because a woman can only teach you how to be a powerful woman. You will never be a man. So don't try to fit into a box. You will never be part of the group. You will never be a boy. Men will always try to um, exploit you most of the time. This is not going to end in a man bashing thing, but just to be aware, right? If you want to tie your money to women. Okay, but it's really to end it up on a real note is, if you feel like you are abundant, you don't have to wait until you get there. You assume the power, you assume your position, and your position is that you are now already the version of yourself that has it all. You already have it all. You are abundant. You are everything you can always be. You are in the awareness. And if you really want to create a larger container of receiving and actually do the things that will create leverage for you in this economic system so you can receive more money for your services, your knowledge, your wisdom, your products, your solutions, work with me. Okay, get into the group, schedule your one-on-one. I'm looking forward to hear from you, and I definitely see you in the next video. So until then, take charge, because the only way you can get ahead is to move. You have to move, you have to move, you have to circulate, you have to live. Okay, understand the laws of living by doing, being in alignment, acting. Okay, acting as if you mean it. You are that girl. All right, so act, and act right. Invest in yourself and move ahead and win in this capitalistic game of life. Okay, much love. Bye.